You jog 4 kilometers north, 3 kilometers at 10 degrees east of south, 2 kilometers at 55 degrees south of west, and an unknown distance and direction. If you end up at 3 kilometers at 15 degrees north of east, determine the magnitude of the unknown vector that you traveled. Whew, okay, draw a picture. East of south, and then south of west. I might end up over here, so I'm going to draw a full-blown axis here. I have no idea where I'm going to end up. I have no idea. Y, X. Okay. So if you jog 4 kilometers north, so here's my 4 kilometers north, okay? And then 3 kilometers at 10 degrees east of south. Which way is south? South is this way. East of south is this way. So 3 kilometers, so like this. Okay? And this distance is, this here is 10 degrees. Then 2 kilometers at 2 kilometers at 55 degrees south of west. Which way is west? West is this way. South of west is this way, so here is there, and this angle is 55 degrees. Okay, 55 degrees. And an unknown distance and direction. Okay, so there it is, unknown. And if you end up at 3 kilometers at 15 degrees north of east, 3 kilometers, 15 degrees north of east. Okay, there's east, and north of east is this way. So my resultant vector is like over here somewhere. It's there. Okay, so that's V final vector. Here's my V1 vector. Here's my V2 vector. Here's my V3 vector. Very cluttered picture. And my unknown distance will connect this one and that one. There it is. That's V4 vector. Hopefully everyone can see that. That's a very cluttered picture. Okay. Determine the magnitude, only the magnitude of the unknown vector that you traveled. So we're looking for V4. Okay, let's just do some components here. Let's do V1's fine because it aligns with the coordinate system. V2 I have to do. So V2 goes down like this. There's the 10 degrees. So this is 10. And the distance was 3, and we'll call this x, and we'll call this y. So x is going to be equal to 3. It's opposite, so it's going to be sine of 10, and that equals, and y equals 3 cosine, because it's adjacent to the angle. Remember, we're always from the angle. So the angle's here, so opposite to the angle is x, and adjacent is going to be y. So there's 10, okay? Another one is going to be this guy here, which looks like this. And I had these components, x and y. And the distance in this angle was 55 degrees. And it was a distance of 2. Okay, so that means that x is equal to 2 cosine of 55. And y is equal to 2 sine of 55. Okay? Yeah, it's opposite. And then we have one more vector, because we got that one, and we have to do our final vector. So our final vector here was like this, and it was 15 degrees north of east. So this one's 15 degrees. There's that. There's that, and it was 3 kilometers. We'll call this x, we'll call this y. So x is equal to 3 cosine of 15, and y is equal to 3 sine of 15. Okay, let's do it. So 3 sine 10 is equal to 0.521. 3 cosine 10 is 2.954. 2 cosine 55 is 1.147, and 2 sine 55 is 1.64. And then 3 cosine 15 is 2.898. and 3 sine 15 is 0.50776. Okay, got all my components. So what is the vector that I want to solve here for? Let's just write down the equation as we usually do, So we know that v1 vector plus v2 vector plus v3 vector plus v4 vector is equal to v final vector, right? 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 ends me right there, and which is equal to just the v final vector, right? They end at the same spot, so that's equal to the same thing. And what we're trying to find here is v4. So we're going to subtract v1, v2, v3 from both sides of the equation, and we'll be left with v4 is equal to v final minus v1 minus v2 and minus v3. And that is our new equation. That's what we're trying to solve here, because we're trying to solve for v4. So let's write all this down. So v final is equal to v1, negative v1 is equal to, negative v2 is equal to, and negative v3 is equal to, and if you add all those together, v final plus negative v1 plus negative v2 plus negative v3, you will get v4 vector. Okay, so v final vector. Okay, v final, where was v final? It's this guy, it's the red one. So in the x direction, it is going to be 2.898 x hat. And in the y direction, positive y, because it is going up, so it's going to be plus 0.776 y hat. Okay, v1 vector. v1, oh, but it's minus v1. So whatever v1 is just negative of that. So v1 vector was 0 in the x hat direction, and negative 0 is still 0. And then in the y direction, it was plus 4 kilometers north. So it's actually going to be minus 4, because that's what we just made it minus. So because we know positive v1 is equal to positive 4y hat. And if we take the negative, we just make negative to every single one of the components. So v2 vector was positive x. Here it is. Yeah, sorry, I got confused. See, I should label these. This is v2 vector, and this is v3 vector. Okay, so v2 vector is positive x and negative y. So positive x actually becomes negative x, so it's negative 0.521 x hat, and negative y is going to actually become positive y, plus 2.954 y hat. Does become a little confusing. Remember, the reason these numbers always come out positive, because I'm using angles between 0 and 90 degrees, a relative angle, meaning these numbers always come out positive. So I have to manually put in the negative or positive depending on my picture. If it's going in the positive direction, it's positive, or if it's going in the negative direction, it's going to be negative, negative x and negative y. Now, this one is going to be like a double negative. So if it's negative before, it's going to become positive, and if it's positive, it's going to become negative. Okay, but we should have kind of came up with that with all the videos up to leading up to this point. So negative v3. Here's my here's my vector 3. Negative x has become positive x, so it's going to be 1.147 x hat, and negative y becomes positive y, so plus 1.64 y hat. Let me just check that. I have to make sure. It's negative x, so it's positive x, yeah. And negative y becomes positive, yeah. I'm good with that. Okay, let's add all these together. So we're at 2.989 minus 0.521 plus 1.147 is going to be 3.524 x hat, and then 0.776 minus 4 plus 2.954 plus 1.64 is going to be plus 1.37 y hat. Okay, let's just look at our picture. It looks about right. 3 in the positive direction, in the x direction, and 1.37. I think that's about right. Remember, I was a little short here, because this was supposed to be 4 kilometers, and this was supposed to be 3. So it really should end up here, down to here. I think that looks about right. I'm going to go with that one. I don't think I made a mistake. If you guys start getting negative values here, that's why a picture is kind of important, because it kind of gives you some sort of attachment here. Now, I can't write down exactly what it's all going to be equal to, but it's going to be this number squared plus this number squared, square root it, because I'll write down the numbers, just because I'm running out of room here. plus 1.37. So the distance that I actually traveled (3.524) squared plus 1.37 squared, square root answer is going to give me a 3. Call it 8.